I'm with Sea Science Film Labs, and we want to speak about the so-called human and chimp, how humans and chimps share 98%, 98.8%, they say, DNA. How our DNA is 98.8%. It's hard for me to say because it just sounds so ridiculous. But anyway, is there something that you wanted to add just before I start
Sure.
just basically reading stuff?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's been a long a long held misconception of the human evolution proponents, believers that the human genome is somehow 98 to 99% plus alike with the chimpanzee, and it's just not true. And it's so obvious just through like knowing science and some math and using some reason that humans do not share a 98 to 99% plus DNA likeness with chimpanzees because we do not have the same number of chromosomes in the first place. And the number of chromosomes difference alone makes it so that humans and chimpanzees couldn't possibly hold this claimed likeness of 98%. I mean, even if all the uh, DNA and all the genetic information in the entire human genome matched 46 of the 48 chromosomes of the chimpanzees, there would still be a 2 chromosome difference there. And that doesn't allow for the 98 to 99% likeness. So it's become a mantra of theirs, which is actually a misconception, easily disproven through logic and knowing a little science. I mean, the human men and women don't share a 99% plus DNA likeness. I'm pretty sure because of the sex chromosomes alone. These sex chromosomes make up a decent amount of the genome, and they alone there you have a difference which would result in more than a 99% difference in DNA. I mean, if you don't look, I mean, if two individuals had 99% likeness, they would look almost exactly alike. This is how we can identify things in people in forensic science. You know, we have the ability to test and see whose DNA is closest. And if everyone's DNA was within the 99 plus percentile likeness, we wouldn't be able to tell who did what. And that science would be completely useless. So, this concept that's being pushed by them, like I said, it's a misconception. We're going to put that to rest tonight through logic and science and not just beliefs like what the human evolutionists have to push their assumptions. So, what do you say, Jason?
Uh, oh yeah,
You could
for certain.
ready to dig
Look,
into
you've
this
got
document?
yeah. I'm just going to read a bit of something that I've lifted from certain places. The The American Museum of Natural History says that humans and chimps share a surprising 98.8% of the human genome. Uh, it's oh wait a minute, I had that. I think I wrote that in there about what this guy said, and maybe we should just go straight to that first instead of uh, hang on, instead of reading through this. Um,
Sure. And I'd also want to add, and I
um,
almost forgot to say,
yep, yep.
is they've mapped what they claim is the Neanderthal uh, genome, and they've compared it to the human genome, and this has fallen within a range of 99%. So we're looking at a situation where they're testing these what they believe are closer related to us, and I believe they're human anyway, but they're so close to us that it falls within that percentile. But it's so close to what they're claiming that the chimpanzees are in likeness to humans that it throws that idea into question. Because if Neanderthal are 1% different than us, then obviously chimpanzees are more than that. And that's already goes beyond the 98.8% claim. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just looking through to see if I can find that. No, I can't find it. But outside, I mean, you've got this here, which is basically, I've got an evolutionist scientist that's saying this. I don't know if I've got it in another. I don't know. There's no point trying to find it now. But what I can do is I can go to this thing, is because this is basically what he said. I can find it later. That's not. Topology Conserved noted that the topology associated domains TADs are highly conserved across species in prevalent in the field of 3D genomics. However, what exactly is meant by the highly conserved and what are actual comparative data that supports this notion. Actually, the guy that I was going to reference is the head of veterinary science and a professor with like honors and BSs and BV this, CV this and that, just so many qualifications and degrees and two of them with honors, and he's a professor at Sydney University and sort of thing, and he's saying this sort of stuff. I mean, and his main work is in genetics and animal genetics and human genetics and comparing the two, and he says that it's just wrong the way that they compare the genome. So basically what they say here is what he says. What exactly is meant by highly conserved, and what are actual comparative data that support the notion? To address the questions, we perform a historical review of the relevant literature and retract numerous and retraced numerous citation chains to reveal primary data that were used as the basis for a widely accepted conclusion that TADs are highly conserved across evolution. A thorough review of the I wish I could find that guy. So just let me see if I can find it. Let me see, what was it? It was
all right. Is it a document or a video?
No, I actually wrote it down. So
Do you know? Okay.
Just let me check inside this document and do a search. If you want to talk about something, then go right ahead. But I'll just see if I can find this.
Sure. I mean, I've read this. Well, I skimmed the majority of this. I mean, I read the summary at the bottom. The summary at the bottom is probably the most revealing, and it pulls all the books together. So, and that'd probably be a good thing to read this document. So,
You seem to be breaking. You seem to be breaking up a bit. I don't know why.
Oh.
Sometimes when that happens, if you drop out and come back, it'll fix it. I've got it. I found it. Hang on. I've just got to do I can't do a search from there. I'll just read it from here. Let me see if I can just get out of this. Hang on. Wrong one. Over there. That one would be good. And go in editing mode. Okay, oh, that's right. I've got to put push control there. go from here. Oops. Control F. There it is. There's the search. And I'll just put in Professor, and we should be showing up. Come on, where are you? Professor Shotgun, Evolutionist Morrison, True. No, maybe it's here. Ah, yes, here it is. Here it is. I found it. And here, this quote below is from a guy from the link just above, basically explaining who he is. Actually, we should just go back up to. I'll just get rid of that search. We don't need that now. I'll just go back up to, if I can. Okay, this is his qualifications. Hang on, I think someone's joined us. Just let me have does that fix your problem? Do you sound better now? Let's have a listen and see.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I left and came back into the studio, so we'll see.
And we'll see. Wait a minute. I'll just read this first. The quote below is from the guy from the link just above. I won't go into the link, of course, because then I have to share that out separately. But first, his qualifications. He has a BSc with honors 1, PhD, ANU professor, animal genetics, animal science sub dean undergraduate research B, VSc honors, and BSc vet. So basically, this guy's a geneticist and a vet and a professor, and with honors, gets 2 lots of honors, which is pretty full on. And anyway, so this is what he says. He and he goes on and he explains basically. He explains his career, which is amazing, to put it mildly. I just want to add he's a staunch evolutionist, which he is. He's an absolute, outright staunch evolutionist, this guy, full on Darwinian, he'd right into a Darwinism. Now for his quote, depending upon what it is that you are comparing, you can say, yes, there's very high degree of similarity. For example, between a human and a pig protein coding sequence, because they say humans and pigs are very close as well, right? But if you compare rapidly evolving sequences from similar location in a genome, you may not be able to recognize any similarity at all. This means that the blanket comparisons of all DNA sequences between species are not very meaningful. And so basically he says that, and up here he says, we share far more genetics with pigs, but as with chimps, only in small areas, 98% with pigs, and chimps in some protein coding regions, but not over the entire genome. And that's coming from him, right? This guy, because he gets mostly into pig genetics and stuff like that, because he likes his weird sort of genetics and and all that sort of stuff. But you see what he says, that it's not very meaningful. So when they say, and then if we go back up to
Hello?
probably human
Yeah.
genome, huh?
Am I coming through clearly, man?
Yes.
Just like check. Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
Switch to a different network.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's clearer. The 3D human genome, radically different from chimp. A new study published in Trends and Genetics evaluates research in the emerging field that shows the 3D human genome is distinctly unique to humans. And that's basically what that guy says. If you read through his literature and his publications and stuff like that, and he's a professor at Sydney University. He's got honors, 2 lots of honors in 2 different fields, and like really, anyway, that's what he says. Unique to humans, confirming previous research that showed it is different to compare chimps as it is to mice. I should have wrote one blah blah whatever. A tad skeptic is 3D genome topology conserved. Trends in Genetics published online November 14, 2020. Also, the genome now appears that it could be 4D. The human genome is an incredibly complex computer program that operates in what we believe to be 4 dimensions. This includes the 1D linear string of DNA, the 2D interactions between parts of the 1D string, the 3D compacted / folded conformation of the DNA in the nucleus, and the changes to the first, second, and third dimensions over time, making the genome 4D. And I put an actual citation there. You can see the actual full link for the citation, so anyone can actually just take a screenshot of that off their screen, or pause the screen and write that citation down in. And that citation basically is looking at and basically trying to confirm that the genome is indeed 4D, because it does work in 3-dimensional space, like sort of like a virtual reality space, as well as in a 3-dimensional space. So it's got a 4th dimension to it. So it's like literally 4D. And that citation I put there goes into how they're trying to prove that it is 4D, basically. And because they know it sort of has to be, you know what I mean? And they know that it sort of does work in the way that it was described above. And the creation.com link that I've got there is mainly for, like, they explain what they believe, because that's the creationist view. And then straight after that, I put the secular, you got NCBI, NLM, NIH, Gov PMC article citation, like full on proper citation. No, people can't say, oh, that's just from a creationist source. Well, what's usually a good idea is do what us creationists do. You go through and you read the creationist article first on what they believe, and they put their references and citation references and stuff at the end of their articles usually. And if they don't, it doesn't matter, because you read the creationist view first, and then you go look at the work that they're doing on the 3D or the spatial genome sort of thing, the weird sort of complexity of the genome that proves that they're trying to, like I said, trying to prove that it's 4D. And you see that they're not sort of the creationist side is not completely making things up. Whereas a lot of people come along and say, oh, that's just fairy tales. It's not 4D. How can it be 4D? Well, there you go. There's a citation for you to go and
so
check it out.
fourth dimensionally, isn't the fourth dimension like time? So they're
Yeah,
saying that it's
time
actually
and space and some sort of time and space
Sure.
that like sort of like virtual reality type thing. Not really.
So they're
but,
saying,
yeah.
like, if I remember from Back to the Future, they're talking about traveling
Not
through
exactly,
time.
I mean, yeah.
And like, they're not thinking fourth dimensionally, man. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so the genome is like it's incredibly complex, but I mean,
Yes.
like you think of carbohydrates where there's hundreds of thousands of carbohydrates and they all have to hook together, and there's a lot of carbohydrates in the genome, in nucleic acid and stuff like that. So, I mean, carbohydrates alone, there's so many different types, like many tens of thousands, like probably hundreds of thousands of different carbohydrates. And then these sort of carbohydrates and lipids and all these things are all strewn throughout DNA and making up DNA is what, like, the elements that the molecules that make up DNA, and the complexity of just carbohydrates alone is so, like, you think wow, the genome is so and it is so unbelievably complex, but the carbohydrates and everything that make it up, and the sugars, and which is sugars, basically the sugars and the fats that make up the DNA are there's just so many of them, and they're just so incredibly complex. It's that make up the entire cell.
I think
and
that they
everything. It's
finished
mind-blowing.
mapping. I think that they finished mapping the genome, or the human genome, in 2013. But that's just mapping it, They can't stand it. Like, as
I
far
don't
as
think
the
they've fully
unlocking
mapped
the
it.
vast information.
I don't think they've
No,
fully mapped
they
it
mapped it, but
fully.
I'm saying, like, they just don't. There's just so much information that they haven't yet, like, rendered from it, because they've found within the DNA they found a kind system, sort of like a computer system, where they can actually render data. So it's just like they say, like, the more we find out about life, the further we move from the abiogenesis research, the origin of life research and creating it, the further the goalpost moves out, because it's like we realize it is so complex, and how much more complex it actually is, and what it would take to actually create what could be considered a living form. So there's something to be said about that too here. Just to mention. We got Gum in the chat. I think he might be joining in. I don't know. He said that what they mean by 4D is the information is not of this world. And the information is spiritual 4D. It's just a way to get around not saying spiritual information.
It is conceptual, like anything that's conceptual, that's not physical, doesn't have any physical thing, could be considered, I suppose,
so
if
like
you want to
thought.
sort of look at it that way, conceptual, spiritual in a way.
Sure.
Yeah,
but even thought
he's right,
is that.
though.
So it's like
sure, morals don't have there's no you can't physically go and pick up morals and hand them to someone. They're a purely conceptual thing. There's no physical, tangible matter in a moral. So you could say that that's spiritual in a way as well. I suppose you could.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think I mentioned this to you before, but have you ever heard of genetic memory, or the concept or the idea of genetic memory, which is like, it was brought up by, what was his name?
Bungo.
No, I can't remember now, so I guess.
You just said bungo. It's fun.
But genetic memory, I mean, Yeah. Basically, the idea is your morals or your instincts, if you will, are handed down genetically, and there's like actual thoughts or whatever programmed, or ideas and concepts programmed right into your DNA. Even if you weren't with society, we might retain some of these things or whatever is the concept behind it. If you were like, because it's in your DNA itself, these morals or whatever. But it's just a concept. And I forgot who it was, but I'll remember in a second. Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan talked about it on his show, on his through the I can't remember the name of his show either, but he definitely talked about genetic memory. And it's an interesting concept, but it's like, how can you even prove that until we gain that ability to cover this genetic memory? And that's basically what we're reaching that point, I think, with the discovery of the biosemiotic system and the new field of research that's arisen from realizing this, which is genomic data research and also comparative genomic science, comparative genomic science. So basically, the whole field of genomics, we've pulled out. But the comparative genomic research that's been going on is all, and the rendering of this genomic data from the living forms, from these mappings of the genomes of the living forms. This new field of research is going to provide us with a rich field of research for many years to come. They were talking about, even with just the human genome alone, that there was going to be so many exabytes.
Yeah. You there? Oh, you dropped out. Dang it. Oh, you can come back in. It's just all right. Well, I suppose I can go on research. And so we basically went through that stuff about the 4D project. To determine how the genome operates, we need to understand not only the linear encoding of information along chromosomes, but also its three-dimensional organization, its dynamics across time. Let me see if I can get this. That should show up. Yep. That is 4D, the 4D nucleome, 4D, and investigators will develop and integrate imaging platforms that enable visualizing the dynamics, interactions, and structural organization of the nucleus. An important aspect of 3D genome structure has to do with the epigenetic modification of proteins called histones that the DNA is wrapped around. Study showed that specific type of histone modification had only about a 70% overlap or similarity between humans and chimps. Remarkably, another study in 2012 showed that humans had about a 70% similarity for the same feature with mice. In other words, humans were as different to mice as they were to chimps for the particular genome conformation metric. Hang on, just let me have a look and see if. Yes, this science is back. Yeah, sorry there. If you were back for a while, I was too busy reading. There. See science, you there? Okay.
No harm done. I just dropped the connection there a second. I had to switch networks again. So, yep. Yeah, read on, buddy. I'm enjoying it. Good stuff.
Humans were different. They were
Testing.
chimps. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you sound good. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yep. Yep, you can. I know. Yeah. So you sound good. You sound fine.
I think I still have a 10-second delay. So.
Okay. Yeah. In the trends in genetics study found that in comparing humans and chimps, only 43% of TADs conserved, similar between these species, but across many different parameters: resolution, window size, genome assembly, and different downstream analysis decisions. No more than 78% of domains and 83% of TAD boundaries were found to be shared between humans and chimpanzees. This huge evolutionary discrepancy led them to conclude, in our mind, there is no strong basis for common and other unchallenged notion that TADs are highly conserved. In other words, a lack of conservation means no evidence for evolution. A TAD skeptic, US 3D genome topology conserved. So there, I put the that's the right there is the what do you call it, the citation that they're doing on that, and the original paper in PDF form. So, comparative study report that the genome-wide overlap in the histone modification locations in humans and chimpanzees is around 70%. Remarkably, the genome-wide overlap of locations in humans and mice is around 70%. So it's basically saying that, and I think that's just going over again, the TAD boundaries were found to be shared between humans and chimpanzees in a much lower percentage than had been seen across these species for a number of other functional regulatory phenotypes. As the study noted, visual inspection of contact maps of algorithmically inferred divergent TADs sometimes suggested a conservation, further highlighting the broader issue of inaccurate TAD inference. Other findings, particularly in plants, also suggest that TAD positions may not be conserved across species. Dong and others, 56, for instance, collected high C data for maize, tomato, sorghum, foxtail millet, and rice, found relatively little conservation of TADs across these species. G and others assessed TAD conservation in two different. Hang on, let me find this. So TAD conservation in two different mustard plants, Brassica rapa and Brassica alaricia, or whatever, it doesn't matter what the name is, and reported that about 25% of TADs are found in both species. A TAD skeptic US 3D topology conserved. The notation of the topology associated domains, TADs are highly conserved across species in prevalent in in the field of 3D genomics. However, what exactly is meant by what are the actual comparative, what the data that support this notion? To address these questions, we performed a historical review of the relevant literature and traced numerous citation chains to reveal the primary data that we use as the basis for widely accepted conclusion that TADs are highly conserved across evolution. Throughout review of the available evidence suggests the answer may be more complex than what is commonly presented. You dropped out again. You dropped out again. Someone else maybe. Bubblegum, yes.
Hey, am I coming on through clear?
There you go.
Can you guys hear me? Am I
You're in.
audible? Yeah.
You're in, Bubblegum. You coming across
Okay.
clear?
All right then. If we can just go
see-
back to the whole.
Someone's-
Yeah, I
Maybe
apologize for
so.
that, man.
Can't hear you if you're talking. I don't know.
So if we just go back a second to the 4D. Oh wait, am I
Can you
still here?
Yes, my
Yeah.
low.
Oh, what happened? What happened to C?
Okay, I'll just keep reading until you guys. I can't remember where I was up to now. However, what exactly is meant to perform a historical review of the relevant literature and retract the numerous citation chains to reveal the primary data that we use as the basis for blah blah blah, for widely accepted, maybe more than is commonly, maybe more complex than what is commonly presented. That's where I just let me grab that. There we go. TADs are 34% similar. Look at. Hang on, I'll just go back and check on something.
What happened to C science? Oh yeah, I want to bring this up with C science because you guys were talking about the 4D, right? So
Yep.
what they mean, but yeah, so what they mean by the 4D here, I just played like about 10 seconds of
Yeah,
this.
I shared it out for you.
Strategy of the genes, whose key argument can be summarized in these two figures. Waddington suggests that we should think of genes not in terms of blueprints or Punnett squares, but as a complex system of pegs and gyros.
So this is the 4D they're talking about. This esoteric tent upon which the genes are tugging upon, which create this path, which this hypothetical marble, rolls down, and then you get either blue eyes or green eyes, or whatever color eye. But they're appealing to when they're appealing to this fourth dimensional thing, they're appealing to like some sort of
unfortunately.
Let me see if we can. Maybe I'm downloading something. Just give me a second. Sometimes
just
ghost downloads.
Up. He sounds decent on my end. How am I sounding now? Is this am I connected better?
Oh, can you hear him normally on your end? Can you?
Yeah. But I'm connected through the app now. How am I coming through?
Yeah, you're crystal clear on my end.
Good.
Oh, both of you.
Yeah, so continue. Man.
Okay, so if no one else is experiencing issues.
Yeah, so when they're appealing to this fourth dimension.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll just put my mic on mute so you can explain it.
Yeah, so when they're appealing to this fourth dimension, they're basically appealing to some sort of ether forms. So they think the blue eye and the green eye already pre-exists in this ether forms realm, and that the genes are simply tugging at this fabric of ether, and then this marble rolls down to in which you either get blue eyes or green eyes. So this is what they mean by this, so quote unquote fourth dimension. of course, as a theist, what they're really appealing to is God's mind. So where is this information coming from, right? Ultimately, it's still coming from God's mind. This is founded within God's mind, but they can't say that because that's straight up theism, and they're atheists.
Huh. Yeah, that's some deep stuff right there.
Yeah, there. I stopped hearing. That's the only thing I want to bring up. Oh, by the way, did you guys catch the Crucible today?
No,
yeah, it's a concept. It's like anything conceptual. Did I accidentally take that off the screen, or
No,
did you stop sharing it?
I stopped sharing there.
I think.
Oh yeah, the Crucible channel with Andrew Wilson. It turns out Grayson and Leo Felius were there, and they got absolutely obliterated. They were absolute clowns. It's a must watch.
So what happened?
So they were all there to discuss like LGBT stuff, like, and then Wilson just simply asked the question, "What is a woman?" Right? And simple question you can ask these.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to take my dog to the toilet.
Yeah,
all right.
They made absolute clowns of themselves for like 2 hours straight, and then an atheist. I'm not sure if you know the atheist called Pine Creek came in there.
No, I'm not. No, I haven't heard of that one. But
yeah, Pine Creek, some sort of atheist. So he joined the stream and also started bullying Grayson and Lil Felius. So I thought he was gonna join that, defend them. No, he just came there and bang on them. It turns out that Grayson wanted to do this debate because he went through a villain arc. I'm not sure if you remember when Andrew Wilson went to debate Matt Dillahunty. Turns out Grayson was also there at that location. And then, like, at one point or another, Andrew Wilson told Grayson to back off because he was like, he was getting too close. And apparently Grayson went through some villain arc and it was traumatized by that and decided to, like, go after Andrew Wilson. So he's got some daddy issues, apparently. Yeah, it's a must watch.
Which channel is this on?
The Crucible.
The Crucible. All right, I'm gonna have to check that. I'll write that down right now. Yeah, I know that they have some interesting views. I know Grayson said something. I forgot what I was talking to him about, but it was like
he can't define what a woman is.
Yeah, he was talking about being attracted to their second-hand features. I don't know. Like it just flew right over my head. I don't know. A woman's a woman genetically, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and here they are, these evolutionists who think everything would be up. If you're an atheist, an evolutionist. As an atheist, you would say that a woman is genetically a woman. So to say a man identifying as a woman that would be a mental disorder.
Sure. Well, and then you have top atheists saying this stuff, like Neil deGrasse. It's just like,
oh yeah,
like he's part of it.
Yeah.
So
these people.
I don't know if you've seen a clip of what he was saying about how sometimes he feels like wearing makeup, and and you shouldn't judge him. Like sometimes he feels gender fluid, and
yeah,
sometimes he feels like a woman, sometimes he doesn't.
I wouldn't be surprised he was on the list with like who's that crippled? Stephen Hawking?
Stephen Hawking's, yeah. Stephen Hawking, yeah. Yeah. He was he actually was a guest. I think I have the video there. I know I've shared that before, but it's where Steven's a guest on Neil's show, on his Star Talk show, I think. But yeah, what a thing. I don't know. And you're right. You have these guys that are supposed to be, understand at least basics of biology.
Genetics. Yeah.
Yeah, biology even, just like XY chromosome. It's in there. And then they are confused when you ask them how you're supposed to be able to tell.
Yeah, because they want to deny, they want to deny a woman's a woman. They want to deny all these things.
Yeah.
They want
Well, they want to say we're exactly the same. That's even the concept behind this whole 99%
Yeah.
DNA argument. You know, we got to be 100% men and women have to be 100% alike if chimps are 99 or 98.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You know?
Because they're mostly betting on they know the public doesn't know. The way they got this 99% number is by literally just like not counting 37% of the human genome and like 13% of the chimp genome, and they're literally cherry picking the data which they get to compare, and the public doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So as soon as the public knows this context, they know it's BS.
Yeah, and it'll be hard to fool them the second time, but it'll just take however much time. I don't know. I think if enough people fight against it, we might be able to make a difference, and that's my thought.
Yeah, but it's hard with this again gets into the whole standards for truth theology over the actual data, because he still wants to maintain, because once you go down this route of not eliminating certain parts of the genome, then once you get into haplogroups, you start to get into race realism.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, and there is that scientific racism, you know, brought on through understanding basically the evolution concept, but it's like it's something that they always say is historical. You know, that's Darwinian evolution. It's new, it's modernized. You know, it's not even taught that way anymore. Mankind's all the same critter. But then they don't. They're like, no, they're not. They're like, in fact, there was a bunch of other human things that we can't even name and only have pieces of. But who knows?
Yeah,
it's a mess. It is a mess.
Because they need the narrative to like push their worldview. Because like without the narrative, the worldview kind of falls apart. And it's always seems to be like, how can I get my worldview through? Well, let's just twist the narrative.
It's the ever-changing magic plastic theory of evolution. It just changes with every new piece of evidence. And they're like, well, that's science. It's like, no, it's not. Science doesn't change. Your theories do. Your beliefs surrounding the science change. And on it goes. I'll tell you what. One thing's for sure, humans and chimps do not share 98%, and definitely not 99%. Not this 98.8% that Jason has occurred here either. They do not share this DNA.
Yeah, it's like less than
I don't even
65.
think they shared if you were able to arrange everything differently. Like if you could move all the genes around in any order you wanted, I still don't think we would share 99% of the DNA.
Yeah, because like if you actually do, you know, an apples to apples thing, it would be like less than 40%, I believe, or definitely less than 50.
Sure, and I'd imagine that it'd be as different as it would be to any other mammal.
Yeah, because the way they get, you know, the bananas being 60% in line with us is because they use this cherry picking data. So they have to be consistent when they use this cherry picking data. So if they're going to apply the cherry picking data to the ape, they have to apply the cherry picking data to the banana. Right. And so the bananas would be a close ancestor according to them.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're comparing sections of genes, not even whole genes. Yeah. And then they're claiming likenesses from that, percentage of likenesses from just sections of gene code.
Yeah. You gotta love the circularity of this argument too. Like evolution is true because we're 99% similar. Well, how do you get that 99% similar? Well, we cherry picked. Well, what's your justification cherry picking? Well, evolution is true. I think Jason's something.
I'm fucking so sick of it.
What happened?
I'm threatening him again. I'm going to threaten him again. I'm going to say, I'm sure, thing on your live.
Where's he going to threaten?
He's talking to Facebook.
He's sick and tired of Facebook.
picking on him and harassing him all the time. And he's only sending stuff to his friends in private messages, and it gets flagged, and none of his friends are flagging it. So that means the algorithms are watching in the messages. So they're literally watching your messages.
Yeah.
That's why he's angry anyway.
Who's angry?
The guy that shares the house with me.
Ah.
Sure.
Sorry, I was eating something. That's why I sounded a bit strange.
You're all right. What is it? Dinner over there?
I'm just cooking stuff to make spring rolls.
Ooh, nice.
Basically. No. No, he don't. He said I make 200 at a time, and that's what we live on. But that's not true. He's lying.
Hey, Jason, do you have your browser up projected right now?
Do you want me to share something out?
Is there any way you could go to Google and look up Neanderthal Genome Project article, Wikipedia?
Hey, yep. Hang on a second. I'm just going to put something like. I'm just going to do something.
All right, because there's a section of this article that I think you guys should really see, because it's so revealing, and it's written right into Wikipedia.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Happy Australia Day. It's Australia Day here, our Invasion Day that we took over. Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say, but anyway, we don't believe that. No, yeah, heaps of them. Yeah, heaps of them actually. Right. Hang on, I'm just going to quickly put this on to juice. You never lie. Ah. Hang on. There, the butterfly won't get if it gets near that spot. He won't.
Oh wow!
He won't last long. We'll
I'm playing with this app, and it actually lets you zoom in.
Get rid of the rotten little beggar.
This app actually lets you zoom in on the browser and stuff. It's pretty sweet.
There. Okay, I'll go do it. I'll go do it now. I just had to get the food away, all protection from the dirty, rotten, filthy, flying creatures. There. Now it's all safe and hygienic.
Hey, Hardy Har is in the chat there. What's up, buddy?
Oh, I'll quickly share this out, and then I'm going to get the dogs out. Come on. Come on, dog. Come on. Run over. Come on, quick. Hang on, I'm echoing.
Okay, yeah. So basically, the Neanderthal Genome Project.
How do I find it?
Was to map.
You send a link. Do you want to send a link like via?
Just go to Google. Email. I'll be right back.
You want to send a link? Okay. If you drop out, I can put you back again quickly. What's been going on? Not there. Okay.
All right, I sent it right to the broadcast email, so it should be sitting in there waiting for you. And basically, this is an article about the Neanderthal Genome Project, which is one of the more recent genome mapping projects. I forgot what year they supposedly completed this Neanderthal genome project, but it turns out that they are so human that they are
So you
human,
sent
and
it
that's
via-
been the narrative ever since. So.
Oh, I got it.
All right. Now, what the portion that I'm trying
That's
to
on my book.
read is in the findings section, or in the findings tab of this article. So I should have taken a picture and put it into a gallery for us to view on this. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know what I mean? There's a lot of times, that's regret. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing to live with, that regret. But yeah.
I mean, I think it is regret that is that which condemns you, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, I think there's an interesting passage in the Bible which is like, where there is no law, there is no sin. I think that's very true. So, and I'm not sure not sure where I got this from, but it says, you will be judged by the way you judge. So if you hold no judgment, there is no judgment upon you.
Well, it kind of follows with the don't judge lest you be judged, or whatever.
Yeah, because judgment is going to require a court. It's going to presuppose a court, and now that means you're under the law now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so like sin. Okay. Before there was written law, before the law was handed down to Moses on Mount Sinai, there was sin in the world. So before the law was handed down, there was sin. So there's morals.
There for now, and I'm going to go get the dog out.
Sure. But could you just click the findings tab for me, buddy? It's at the bottom of the screen there. This is actually really screen now. But if you scroll down just slightly, scroll down just a little bit.
Got it.
Right there. Yeah, scroll down.
It's already there.
Under findings. And I'm going to try and bring this up to the full screen so I can read it.
Okay.
Keep scrolling down there. In May 2010, the project released a draft there. Yeah. All right. Now stop right there. Okay. So in May, this will be good if you want to take your dogs out from here, buddy.
Okay.
I can read this while you're gone. All right. In May 2010, the project released a draft. Now this is the Neanderthal genome map. Whenever that was completed. So it was actually
What happened? We lost him again. So I think it's interesting because I'm not sure you know who Dr. Fazala or Fazrana is. He takes the position that the Neanderthals are not created in the image of God, and that's how he gets around this basically. Not sure if you heard of him. We lost everyone. There's nothing we can do. That or I lost connection, but I don't think so. Says if I mind read the paragraph, sure, I'll read the paragraph. In May 2010, the project released a draft. The report on the sequenced Neanderthal genome contradicting the results discovered. While examining the mitochondrial DNA, they demonstrated a range of genetic contribution to non-African modern humans ranging from 1% to 4% from their Homo sapiens samples in Eurasia, aka the French, Chinese, and Papuan. The author stated that it is likely that the interbreeding occurred in the Levant before the it's tiny. Make this bigger. Before the Homo sapiens migrated to before the Homo sapiens migrated to Europe. This finding is disputed because the paucity of the archaeological evidence supporting their statement. The fossil evidence does not conclusively place the Neanderthals and modern humans in close proximity at this time and place. According to the preliminary sequences from 2010, 99.7% of the nucleotide sequences of the modern human and Neanderthal genomes are identical compared to humans sharing around 98.8% sequence with chimpanzees. For some time, studies concerning the commonality between chimps and humans modified commonality of 99% of common 99% to the commonality of only 94%, showing the genetic gap between humans and the chimpanzees was far larger than originally thought. But more in recent knowledge states the difference between humans and chimpanzees and baboons are just 1 to 1.2% again. Additionally, in 2010, the discovery and analysis of the mitochondrial DNA from the Denisovicial human hominin in Serbia revealed that it differed from that of modern humans by 385 bases of nucleotides. In the mitochondrial DNA strand of approximately 16,500 areas where the differences between modern humans and Neanderthals is around 202 bases. In contrast, the difference between chimpanzees and modern humans is approximately about 1,462 mitochondrial base pairs. Analysis of the specimen's nucleotide analysis of the specimen's nuclear DNA was then still underway and expected to clarify whether the finding is a distant species, even though the Denisovicial hominis mitochondrial lineage predates the divergence of modern humans and Neanderthals. Coalescent theory does not preclude a more recent divergence date for her nuclear DNA. So they start with the presupposition. Again, so they use the presupposition that evolution is true. So so there must be some relationship there. So like it's still using the evolutionary presupposition. They don't like the African the Homo sapiens in Europe don't have to share anything with the Hans or the Papuan. Did you lose connection there? Closing these tabs. Got way too many tabs. He did. He lost connection. I don't know where Jason went. He says he's backstage. Just wait for Jason to get back to bring him in. Jason. We lost him. He's gone to us. Jason, if you don't get back, I'm going to start playing copyrighted music. Get some strikes on this channel, my man. Demonetize. Cancel. What network you got? You got the AT&T or what's that? Spectrum or T-Mobile? You gotta love how this paper also leaves out that the fact that they cherry picked that the genome data. So I'm wondering, are they also cherry picking what they get to compare for the Neanderthals and humans? Because even with the Denovisions, because allegedly, because like apparently the Denovisions are like they're not considered a transitional. They consider a sister lineage. It's always a sister lineage with the evolutionists because they have no transitionals. So, but what the statement of sister lineage does is, well, it presupposes evolution, the very thing they're trying to prove. So them like saying, well, look, we have evidence. We have this sister lineage for evolution being true, and we know evolution is true. we know this is a sister lineage because evolution is true. Again, circular arguments. Waiting for Jason. We lost him. I would make more points, but I can't scroll down. Maybe you can like drop a link. I could probably continue reading on like on that private chat or the side chat. No worries, my man. I think it's only us three here anyways. Yeah. The only person watching is me. Right. Let me open that up. All right, I'm gonna continue at the bottom where it says a rig fragment. A rig fragment from the partial skeleton of the Neanderthal infant found in the Myzamykaya cave in the northwestern foothills of the Caucasus Mountains was radiocarbon dated in 1999 to 29,195 plus 965 BP, and therefore belonging to the latest lived Neanderthal. Ancient DNA recovered from the mitochondrial sequence showed 3.4 divergence from the Feldhofer Neanderthal, some 25,000 kilometers from west to the west in Germany in 2011. Phylogenetic analysis placed the two in a clade distinct from modern humans, suggesting that their mitochondrial DNA types have not contributed. Sorry, got really sorry mouth, suggested that their mitochondrial types have not contributed to the modern human mitochondrial pool. In other words, they're not transitionals. In 2015, Israel Herkovitz of Tel Aviv University reported that a skull found in the cave in northern Israel is probably a woman who lived and died in the region about 55,000 years ago, placing modern humans there, and then for the first time ever pointing to a potential time and location when modern humans first interbred with Neanderthals. In 2016, the project found that the Neanderthals bred with modern humans multiple times, and that the Neanderthals interbred with Denisovans only once, as evidence in the genome of modern-day Melanesians. In 2016, two research teams working on the same Neanderthal sample published the results. Richard Green and his team in Natura, and James Nguyen's team in Science. The results were received with some skepticism, mainly surrounding the issue of possible admixture or Neanderthals into the modern human genome. In 2006, Richard Green's team had used the new sequencing technique developed by 454 Life Science that amplifies single molecules for characterization and obtain over 250,000 unique short sequences, reads. The technique delivers randomly located reads so the sequence of interest genes that differ between modern humans and Neanderthals show up at random as well. However, this form of direct sequencing destroys the original sample. So to obtain new reads, more samples must be destructively sequenced. So they have to sequence it like by basically it's like reverse engineering. You have to break it apart. They can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again, apparently. Okay. Noonan's team, led by Edward Robin, used a different technique, one which the Neanderthal DNA is inserted into a bacteria, which make multiple copies of a single fragment. They demonstrated the Neanderthal genomic sequence can be recovered using metagenomic library-based approach. All of the DNA in the sample is immortalized into a metagenomic libraries. They basically got like stem cells to like copy that, and they just stored stem cells because stem cells multiply too. And the DNA fragment is selected and then propagated into microbes. The resulting Neanderthal DNA sequences can be sequenced, or specific sequences can be studied. Funny how they got a bacteria to do the work, because they can't take Humpty Dumpty apart and put him back together, but other living things can. Okay, where did I left off? Overall, the results were remarkably similar. One group suggested that there was a hint of mixing between humans and Neanderthal genomes, while the other found none. Let me read that again. Overall, the results were remarkably similar. One team suggested was a hint of mixing between the human and Neanderthal genomes, while the other found none. But both teams recognized that the data set was not large enough to give a definitive answer. The publication by Noonan and his team revealed that the Neanderthal DNA sequences matching the chimpanzee DNA.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, see, someone's. Oh, he's dropped out again. Yeah, I'm going to put him back there. Yeah, sorry. Now I'm back. You there? Bloody internet.
Well, I think he might have. Oh, he's back.
I'm here. I'm still present. Hey, that was some good reading, Gum. That was.
Thanks. Good. I just got done through eating, so I still got like food in my mouth.
There was a lot of telling things that were revealed there. You had one group of researchers that said that there was no intermingling. You had another one that said that there was a little bit. We think.
Yeah.
That's some decisive research. So, but my main point here in this first paragraph is that they changed their narrative and then they changed it back again. You know, and it says right there the history of it, which is now I got to look really close at this because I have it in this 2-inch screen. This finding disputed because of the pot. Hang on, let me turn this. And all right, this finding is disputed because of the paucity of the archaeological evidence supporting their statement. The fossil evidence does not conclusively place Neanderthals and modern humans in close proximity at this time and place. So they don't have any fossils really showing, evidence for this narrative that we were close with them to where we can. Here's the killer. Can you still hear me? Am I coming?
You still there?
Would you like me to move it?
No, we're good.
Would you? Okay.
I think you're cutting out there a little bit there, C-Science.
Yeah.
Is it cut?
It's typical of everything. I'll turn my mic off. So that.
Still hear me? Am I coming?
Yeah, you're good? As you were?
Yep.
Okay. Sound good?
Roger.
Nope. Oh, I lost it.
Share.
Oh, there we go. According to preliminary sequences from 2010, 99.7% of the nucleotide sequences from humans and from the Neanderthal genome are identical. They're trying to say 99.7%. Okay, they really just prove that Neanderthal are human, or whatever remains that they're testing must have been human remains. If it's 99.7%, because there's human individuals that vary right now in the modern world more than the 99.7% in total DNA likeness. So that's just saying that Neanderthal are human.
Yeah, like the Aboriginals are like also in that area.
Yeah.
Neanderthal.
Obviously, like understanding this, that threw it into jeopardy, their idea that the 98.8% of sequences with the chimpanzee were matching.
Bubblegum agrees.
Because the human and Neanderthal were almost within that range. So they expected a bigger difference. So for some time, studies concerning the commonality between chimps and humans was modified. The commonality of 99% to a commonality of only 94%. So they started to claim that there was only 94% likeness, showing that the genetic gap between humans and chimpanzees was far larger than they originally thought. But no, it's not over. But more recent knowledge states that the difference between humans, chimpanzees, and bonobos is just about 1 to 1.2 again. So when they found out that the Neanderthal genome was within 99.7, they decided that chimps were not actually 98.8% like us. And they changed their wording. And now they've changed it back again, back to this 1 to 1.2%. That's crazy.
Yeah. And of course they left out how they get those numbers, because like they don't want to be, they don't want to get too technical. Not because they can't, because it doesn't benefit their agenda.
Sure. I mean, if they were honest, they would tell everyone that the same logic reveals that mice and humans share a 97.5% likeness.
Yeah.
It's just, and you know what I was thinking about the other day as far as the ERV argument goes, is that there's a way to test if these handful of ERVs that are common between chimps and humans are because of common ancestry or recent common ancestry, or if they're because of just viral infection of multiple species. So it'd be a common virus. Okay.
Well,
And that would be, huh?
Oh, like as you were. I'll let you finish.
Okay. Yeah. So what you would do is you would find the like ERV sections between mice and humans, and come up with more than a handful like that they've proven between chimps and humans. So, because my idea is that humans have obviously shared their environment more closely with mice than they have with chimps in general.
Well, that's if if it was actually true that it's a virus insertion, but that's the
Right.
that's the whole debate. Is it a virus insertion? And it is not.
Right. Well, if they all are, because you see what you have, where you have well, I forgot what the difference is called, but
endogenous and exogenous.
right. So you have some that are believed to have been there and they're functional and they're necessary to the genome and they're ERVs. But then you also have a handful of other ones that are apparently inserted into the genome through viral infection and the nature of viral infection. Well, so, or at least that's what the evolutionists are claiming.
Well, well, for example, if you were to look at like the whole entirety of pigs from hogs to like those little pink baby pigs, those have different endogenous retroviruses, which means they from the get-go they had specific ERVs to them for specific breeds, because not every breed, for example, a hog, like one of those wild boars, isn't going to require the ERVs that a little piglet has. So some of them are breed specific. Of course, this is like something Standing for Truth won't touch on because he's still tied to his dogma. Here, let me present my screen so maybe we'll get the ERV argument. Let me share a window. Jason, you see that? Oh no. Jason.
Yep.
So
some guy was talking about Harley Davidsons. They hardly go.
Yeah, they hardly work. Oh yeah, that's the only reason.
Panigale R1299. Kick its ass. You kick your Harley Davidson's ass. That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, Harley Davidsons are overrated. These pieces of junk compared. They haven't they haven't improved their design. They're still using the same basic design. At least Honda and Suzuki have improved stuff.
Most of Doug's friends ride Harley Davidsons. So yeah.
I want you to share my screen. Can you share it? I think we lost C-Science.
They always rag me out, and he rags them out. So. Harley Davidsons are good in a straight line, but not around bends. That's all.
I think most of the people are kind of right. It's kind of annoying because people who intentionally make their motorcycles loud. Why? Why are you trying to ruin other people's day?
Doug's bike does 330 kilometers an hour, which is, let me do a unit conversion on that. 205 miles an hour. His motorbike goes pretty fast, top end. And he wants to put a turbo on it.
Sorry, guys, I had to step away.
What an idiot wants to put a turbo on it. Genius. We need to put wings on it, just keep it to the ground.
What you looking up there?
I'm trying to share my screen, but I'm waiting for Jason to share my screen.
Oh,
Jason.
Well, what I was saying, you went into dog breeds. You said that some of them had ERVs, right?
Yes, some of them have a specific breed ERVs.
Sure.
So here,
Sorry,
I'm
man.
I'm gonna write down basically the points of the ERV argument.
Sure. Okay. So my concept here, I actually have it written down. Okay. So the question is, do we have more claimed like ERV sections that match between mice and humans, where it would be in the same genes or found in the same part of the genes, in the individual genes? So we'd be like, we'd be proving the fact that these viral insertions, or at least the handful that might be from viruses themselves and not be what is for the functioning systems of these living forms, what actually their workings, like the operating system basically is what it is, because it's the functioning part of the genome. So you have a situation where you definitely have what they call our genetic fossils. Okay, so you have these sections of genes that they believe have been scarred by viruses from the past that have infected, and that they believe that if humans and chimps share any of these same sections of where viruses have infected the host and damaged the genome, if they share any of them, then that obviously proves that there's a common ancestry, and it was passed down vertically, I believe. So we've got, which means it was passed down from your ancestor. So we would have an idea matching genetic data between humans and chimps, and there's tens of thousands of ERV sections, okay, that have been identified in humans and in chimps. And out of those tens of thousands of ERVs, there's only, some claim, 208 that have been identified. So out of tens of thousands, only 208 match between humans and chimps. And if we shared such a recent common ancestor, then I ask you, why are there only 208 that are claimed to match exactly and be in the same spot? Now, could there be a reason that there's 208 ERVs, like ERV sections between humans and chimps, other than a common ancestry, such as common viruses or common viral infection? And it turns out when you study virus theory and the way viruses infect a host, that there's actually what are called preference sites. And these preference sites are due to the way that a virus infects a host. And that's the fact that in virus theory, it's that viruses are basically little pieces of DNA or RNA that have become rogue and they're kind of floating around. And when they attack the host or basically go to reproduce, the DNA inside their cell and what happens is they match the portion of DNA or RNA on your genome that where they can infect. So it fits in like kind of like a key into a keyhole, or a jigsaw puzzle piece into a jigsaw puzzle piece, where they actually have to match the host's DNA to infect it. And that's why there's some viruses that don't infect all species, because not all species has or those exact ERV sites, because it might have to do with the origin of viruses, but we don't know. That gets into theory. What we do have is a good concept of how and why only certain animals get viruses and get sick from them, is because some of them match the viruses and other ones don't. And it's like a key into a keyhole. So if you have a human virus that can infect mice, or basically all mammals, many viruses are mammalian viruses. So you would have, how many times have we caught a cold and how many times have the mice caught a cold? And then how many times has that cold, or basically whatever the virus is that's going to become the ERV, how many times has that inserted itself into a same looking ERV area on the mouse and the human? Because that's all that they're doing to prove this likeness between chimps, which ended up just being 208 claimed like ERV sections. That blows my mind. So we if anything, the ERV argument is a good argument that chimps and humans are not related, because there's tens of thousands of ERV sections that are not common, and there's only 208 that do match. So yeah, that fact alone leads you to question, like, if you want to say that mutation is what caused this change, where they've just become so far mutated and variant from each other, these chimps and humans, from their ancestor, their hypothetical recent common ancestor. Okay, if you want to believe that their ERV sections have just been so mutated and so altered, then why are there still 208 that supposedly match? So why would tens of thousands of them change and 208 stay the same? So obviously there's 208 that appear in the same place of these ERV sections of the genome, and we have to account for it.
They might. There's a possible they appear in the same place because they need to do a similar function in similar areas. And
oh, absolutely. There's ERV. The majority of the ERV is functional. It used to be called junk DNA, and that's just a complete misnomer. So you have an idea where the majority of this is actually functional, but yet some of these sites apparently are like scarring. They're scarred from viral infections, and they're actually, if not, they could have been originally created as they are even now, but then when the virus actually infected the host, they were scarred or changed slightly, and it caused changes to the ERV section that they infected. But these ERV sites that they're saying are common between chimps and humans are likely viruses that had infected these animals. So whether they want to claim the reason that we both have them is because we share a common ancestor, and that common ancestor had these viruses. Okay, so here you're having a hypothetical that there is a common ancestor. Okay, number one. Number two, you have a hypothetical that they had viruses like we do now. Okay, and that they caught them, and that they would be the ERV sections that are the 208. So
maybe they
there's a
were
lot of
always a part
hypotheticals
of our genome. Just quickly, maybe they were always a part of our genomes, and the reason why they're in certain places is they need to do certain functions, or similar functions in different similar sort of genes, and that maybe the viruses came, like bad viruses and stuff like that, or whatever came from our genomes, or possibly that viruses were all beneficial in the beginning and they were made as a part of the creation. And as viruses today, there's viruses inside of us that are killing bacteria all the time, and if they weren't keeping the bacteria in check, we'd get really sick. And there's also viruses in the ocean alone kill 40% of all the bacteria in the ocean every day. So if viruses weren't in the ocean killing 40% of the bacteria every day, that we'd be overrun. So viruses largely are beneficial. It's just that we get these bad ones that can hurt us. And also we've got these ERVs. So what do you think about that, of my original thing where it could have been just a part there originally there?
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
The viruses came from that later.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think that's what I believe as well. Yeah. I mean, it's the evolutionist that has this concept that all of the ERV, even the whole genome itself, is a result of mutation and viral infection. So you have In creation, you have the initial creation where the entire human is created as a whole, as an adult. It has the full human genome right there. It doesn't have to be developed. Okay, with evolution, you have to work from a protozoa to a human, and you have to explain how the DNA came together and all this ERV section came to be. So, like, to them, all of the ERV has to be accounted for from virus infections. And like Gum said the other night, as far as the placental ERV insertion idea, that's like believing you got your the way you reproduce your animal, your living form got its reproduction method from getting a cold. It just makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's
My dog
it's
got a
a-
code. Now it's laying eggs.
yeah,
Yeah. How
just,
did that? If that's the case, that you got them from getting a cold, and ERVs play a role in the formation of very important things like even memory, and I think, or maybe that's something else, but they have the playing roles in the formation of very important organs and certain parts of our body. So we needed them from the beginning, didn't we? Isn't that another thing? Oh, I'm not sure about this.
I like that concept. Like, it's an interesting thought, and I like that creationist concept there. As far as I'm concerned, as my understanding is, and where I stand, is that the majority of the what's called the ERVs section of the genome was there from the beginning, because it is functional. Okay. And that there's a few sections that have been scarred, okay, and even sites where our bodies have even been manufactured to be able to take on these viruses. Okay, so it's all part of the same system. But it's my opinion as a creationist and part of my creation theory that viruses are part of the fall, and that part of the curse, after the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. And it was actually that they rose out of living forms, and that God actually took parts of our genes out at that time and created all these viruses. So,
see, I still think those genes are in there. I think it's just the breaking down of genes. Because, like, would you say that they were like? Because would you say like the snakes in the garden had venom?
sure.
Because, like, when you make lime with
Well,
teeth
yeah,
and claws,
venom is. Yes, they would have, because venom is very beneficial. Like, they've found a lot of beneficial things in venom. There's this person that has severe back pain, and they have to go in and have an injection of rattlesnake venom at a certain time every month. Otherwise, they get really bad back pain. Like, I believe that viruses and it could have been that viruses and venoms and things like that were beneficial before the fall.
Well, no.
And after the fall, they got
That's
corrupted.
Well, doctors don't cure; they remedy. So this is just a remedy to the pain. It is not a cure to the pain. Sure, you use the venom to like damage the pain feeling nerves, but you didn't cure the back pain. You just remedied the back pain. And this is what people don't understand, what doctors are actually doing. They're only cutting out the bad part. They're not actually
that's
fixing
right. It didn't cure it. That's right.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right. But what I mean is, it's a medicine. It's a medicine. And there's some medical, there's a lot of medical applications to the chemicals in snake venom. But like I said, that before the fall, that maybe snake venom was beneficial. It wasn't.
I mean, it's beneficial to the snake when it comes to killing. Like, what is the purpose of fangs and claws if not to kill?
Nor protection, yeah.
Well, that's right. I suppose you're right about that. There wouldn't be fangs and claws to kill before the.
Well, no. That's kind of.
Fall. I mean, you can look at snakes don't need to kill to eat.
Yeah, but they can strangle. I think that's a worse death,
sure.
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you also.
Here's my thing. I mean,
sea science is right. Sea science is right
God
in the sense that you've got a fruit bat, right? You got the Australian fruit bat. It's got a mouthful of fangs, and yet it eats predominantly flowers and fruit. And yet it's got, if you looked at it, you would think it was a carnivore. If you saw a fruit bat smiling at you, you'd think it was a full-on carnivore with great big canines, razor-sharp canines, and carnivore sort of teeth. and yet it lives on fruit and flowers. So
Yeah.
Sure.
So
I guess in summary,
guess,
in summary on the ERV thing, I would say that it's obvious that the ERV section, I would say, and a lot of the creationists say it like this, is if you're thinking of a computer's hard drive, it would be the operating system portion of the hard drive, because there's so much functional components found in the ERV section. So it's absolutely essential to each form that you find them in, especially the mouse. When you consider the mouse genome, which is supposed to be like 2/3 ERV. Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's like insane compared to most other animals that we've mapped. So we've got a situation where, like I said, if these like ERVs, these 208 between chimps and humans, are because of common virus infections and the way that viruses infect a host, and because of the preference sites, and because of the way that they have to match the DNA that's in the virus, and that's how they infect a host. If these 208 are like, there's probably going to be more in the mouse genome because theirs is 2/3 ERV. I think it'd be pretty easy to find like sections between that and the humans. And I don't think there's a lot of money in this research yet. And I don't even think the open question is there yet. But I think if we can push that question out into the open, it might get asked. And then all the right people might start searching. So, because if we can prove that the mice and the humans share more like ERV sections than the chimps and the humans, that blows their common ancestry argument right away, right out of the water. So. And as far as the
I think they've already
snakes with venom, I think snakes have always had venom. I think that everything is as it was at the beginning when God created the earth. And that if there's a part in Genesis that said thorns appeared, whatever changes that God said that was part of the curse was all that was changed. Okay? I don't think that we should assume beyond that. Like claws and teeth are pretty essential for animals. And I know that there was supposed to be no death before the expulsion from the garden. Okay, before the fall, there's supposed to be no death. Okay, but that doesn't mean that animals didn't have the same anatomy that they do now. You know.
Well, they might not have. Who knows? But the thing is,
it could be that
during
the snake
the war,
just didn't bite.
During the war, that lions had to be fed on cabbage and stuff like that. That's basically what they lived on, was cabbage, and they survived. Wow. They didn't like it and they got thin, but they survived on that for years, for a long time. And also, I've got a video, and I've got to find that video.
I've heard of vegans trying to
while
feed
you
their
guys are
cats
talking, I'm going to find a video, and they throw out that. Get this, they throw out tuna on a rope, and this is out in the deep ocean where there's no kelp, right? And then they throw out a big bunch of kelp, and the shark and the white pointer goes and eats the big bunch of kelp and swims off and leaves the tuna. And it prefers the kelp because it's in the deep ocean, obviously, where it can't get kelp. So sharks are omnivores. Even white pointers are omnivores. They're not like they say, like you see people say, oh, they're just eating the kelp to clear their gills out. Rubbish. You see this shark, it literally just eats this great big bunch of kelp and then swims off, eats it, and then fully eats it and then swims off. So so even sharks, even white pointers are omnivores. So there you go. You know what I mean? They like kelp. They eat kelp is a part of their diet, obviously an important part.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll find the video while you're talking.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they could have had their fangs and everything and claws. They just didn't use them for killing. So the idea is that there were no predators. So the predators that we know of today must have eaten that. But here's the thing, like, it's not necessarily even in the ocean. Like, all these people are like, they'll come up with some marine animal that would be like, oh, that couldn't have possibly lived without vegetation or lived on vegetation, whatever. But it's like, this was only in the garden. I don't think that the sea was part of the garden.
See, this is what I'm wondering. Is there like a life outside the garden in which the garden would exclude, lions and snakes, and the snake is something that comes from outside the garden to infect it?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, according to the Bible, it seems like the garden is sort of like an experiment away from the rest of the world, and it's closed in because they're thrown out. And then the cherubim is put there with the ever-turning fiery sword, to keep them from coming back. So it's like, obviously they were cast out into the earth, into the world from somewhere.
So yeah, and like, are they cast out like into a barren land or a land that already has life? And that's, I think.
Oh no, it was filled with life, but the animals outside of the garden were not. God was like, these things will eat you.
Okay. So it could be like the garden only had puppies and kittens, and then like the garden, the outside the garden was like,
I like that
everything
concept,
else.
but you got to see the garden as like, there was things, because God created all life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was things in the garden that we can't even imagine now, that aren't even around, because we've lost the majority of the forms he created. One, because of the flood, and I know that they say that they preserved the kinds of animals, but you got to imagine some things were lost.
Yeah, and the other because of man.
Even especially in the ocean, they only saved the land animals. There was probably species there's a ton of marine species that are just unaccounted for, and they say that they were lost because of lack of food, or maybe there was a predator that took them all out. Like blastoids.
Yeah. To me, I kind of this a different theology, because to me, I think there's a quote by who's the founding father that does electricity.
Isaac Newton, or
No, he was
not. Oh shit.
He was one of the founding fathers. Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
I think he says the quote: "There are two inevitable things in this world: death," and he says taxes, but I say violence. So to me, death and violence are inevitable.
Sure. Well, I mean, okay, so they were kicked out of the garden because they ate the fruit. But then the first killing was the next generation of people. Like, could you imagine God's heart?
What I don't think it's so much.
That?
So I don't think it's so much the fruit. It's more that they didn't repent for eating the fruit. So they could have repented because they didn't have knowledge prior to the fruit. And so when it comes to eating fruit, now they're in the knowledge of what they did and why it's wrong. But instead of choosing not to repent, they didn't repent and just spit on God's face. And that's why they're guilty, and that's why they're kicked out. So they had the choice after getting that knowledge to repent, but they didn't.
Okay, so here you have another concept where you have multiple creation models, where like one creation model has an idea that they were dumb animals before they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And maybe not like dumb animals, but at least not aware or at the same level of consciousness as, say, we are modernly. So, and I mean, there is something to be said about eating something that's called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, where you gain what's to know the difference between right and wrong. If you always know the difference, what the right way to do things and the wrong way to do things, it's pretty helpful. But there's also the concept that they had to make a choice. So you have to either believe that Eve didn't know any better because she wasn't capable of knowing the difference between right and wrong, and they were punished for something they didn't even understand. So on one hand, you have that idea. But on the other hand, you have to understand that they were walking, talking individuals before they ate the fruit. You know what I mean? So you have a concept of them being intelligent beings because they're capable of speech. Okay. But reasoning, I mean, even reasoning, like as soon as you have speech, I'd say you have some amount of reasoning.
Yeah.
So and you have to have the weight. There's the gravity of the fact of them making the choice. And I think that if they didn't understand what they were doing, then that defeats the story.
So I think when they talk of knowledge, I think it's talking about wisdom, because when I talk, I'm just referencing that thing which is in front of me. This is just a label we put on that thing. But when I have wisdom, I think that's closer to knowledge. So, like for example, if I do
just quickly, guys, I just want to show the video of the shark when you're finished here, of the shark eating the kelp, basically.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen this. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll just do it now.
For this outside of the Bible? Of course there.
That's an interesting title. All life was originally created for plants.
Yeah.
This is creationist or evolutionist?
I think this is Matt from
right on.
Yeah.
The Bible tells us that all animals were created vegetarian in the beginning. Is there any evidence for this outside of the Bible? Of course there is. And not only everywhere we look currently, but also in the past as well. So what happened?
That looks like a little nurse shark. I don't see the whole thing though.
On a planet.
What is that?
I think it is
that
a
a
shark.
dolphin?
Diet. They can
No, I think
thrive.
it
That's
is a
right.
shark. Little
All
sand shark?
obligate carnivores can live off of plants. Even
Oh, maybe it is a sand shark. That's a dolphin. It says it right there. I don't know what the other one was.
No, it's actually it's a horse identifying as a dolphin.
You can't tell these days. It's really
Yeah.
It's hard to
You
tell.
you gotta respect their pronouns, man.
You've got to
bigot.
basically ask them,
alligators.
what they want to be called. So we got to. Yeah, see, cats, they eat grass all the time.
Yeah. It's just identifying as a cow now.
Nurse sharks are not carnivorous.
I never seen an alligator touch any vegetable. Oh, I think we lost him.
Jason.
We lost him.
Well, Hardy Har says that nurse sharks are not carnivorous. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, do you hold plants to be alive? Because I do. I think they.
I do too. Here, my definition of life is basically that it has a genome. So, under my definition of life, even viruses are alive.
So, to me, to be alive, you have to have not only a body, but also a spirit. So, to me, even a spirit inhabiting, let's say, robots, a body made by humans, like which should be a cyborg or a robot, would still be alive because it has that spirit factor.
Okay, so I dig that idea, but that robot would not have a genome. Now,
it wouldn't have a
genome. If that robot could be self-reproducing, that's possible because you could make a robot that could reproduce. But if you could ever make it biological,
that could be a slippery slope, though, because like they're there's kids with Down syndrome who can't reproduce, and we still consider those
That's
potatoes
true
alive.
too. That's true. But I mean, ideally, your form, it'd be like your form if it could reproduce. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
what I'm saying is we could make a reproducing robot. So I'm saying at least that idea of life, if reproduction is one of your qualifications, then robots could qualify in that amount. As far as spirit, yes, you have that energy flowing through them, you know, working their components. Body is where you're losing me, you know, because they don't have a body until we can make it organic. But even when you have an organic body, like, will that organic body, this system, have a genome?
See,
Will
this
it
is the
have
thing.
DNA? Because
What is it?
DNA is the next thing that life has.
I mean, I think this gets into bigger questions. What is it that we truly value? Is it the body that we value, or is it the ghost in the body that we value? For example, let's say in front of me there is a pile of ashes and a baby, and I stab the baby, right? And I think most people find that offensive because there's a spirit. But if I stab the ashes, which used to be the body of the baby, I don't get those funny looks.
Sure.
So like
Yeah.
if I were to stab a body, let's say the aftermath of a war or a battlefield, if I stab like a living soldier, I get funny looks. But if I stab the already dead carcasses of a dead soldier, people are not gonna give me that second glance. Like, I don't know why you did that, but nobody's really bothered by it.
Sure.
I fixed the
I mean,
I fixed the problem.
Maybe the
While it's
family is.
actually running, the internet's running okay. I just want to play. It's only 2 minutes, this video, so I'll just play it 2 minutes, and this time it'll play hopefully without stopping and starting. If it does, I'll just stop it.
All right, I mean myself.
well, I'm glad we have three philosophers here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can talk about it.
The Bible tells the beginning.
Hang on, let me change the quality down to a lower quality.
It's a big cat.
That is pretty big.
360p.
I've heard of
And that might
vegans
help
trying to turn their cats onto all rice
with
diets, though.
Did you see when that
With
lady
the-
tried to make her
with the
dog
plane.
vegan,
Hang on.
and then they put like a bowl of meat and a bowl of vegan stuff, and the dog just goes for the meat immediately? It's hilarious. She was forcing her dog to be vegan.
Things will eat whatever they have to survive, and it's sad. It's
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it is 51 degrees here in Western New York, and there's fog all over. It's January, so that's different.
Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit.
The
So we
Bible
got
tells us that all animals side of the Bible.
how hot is it in
Of course there is.
I'm in
in
California.
Australia
Not only
there,
everywhere we look currently,
Can
but
you hear-
also in the past as well. So what happens
Yeah.
when you put a life on a plant diet? That's right. All obligated carnivores can live off of plants, even to this day. Sharks, dolphins, and wolves, lions, panthers, house crocodiles, dragons have been this. It was rare in Europe. They were feeding the zoo animals in London vegetables because that's all that they had.
I mean,
I'll believe
you'll eat
that.
anything.
Yeah, they'll eat whatever they can get their hands on if they're starving to death.
Yeah. And whatever puts less of a fight. I mean, if that human wouldn't put up a fight, I'd eat him too. I mean, would you
You're
ever
an
eat a
animal.
human being? I mean,
If
would
you
eat a
have
human
to,
being?
I mean, you have to, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, man. It's like something to say like, I'll never do it, but then once you, I mean, it only takes until dinner time for a revolution to start.
There you go. Yeah, you know, it's like people get in those desperate situations, and I can I can dig animals eating only grass and stuff. But I mean, like we were saying, was it just the animals in the garden? Because if that's the case, then you don't have to. You have a lot less to account for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It could have been just capybaras and like cute puppies.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. Could have been like cute little foxes and who knows what else. I'm hoping like dragons and cool stuff like that.
Like unicorns. Like
Yeah.
unicorns.
Oh, that'd be cool. But I mean, I can dig it. It seems like we're trying to account for stuff that we don't really have to. If we just understand the story better, you know, maybe obviously we've already excluded all the marine animals because the sea was not in the garden. I mean, there could have been lakes and maybe even shallow seas in the garden, but obviously the entire ocean was not part of the garden. So there you have
just mermaids.
Yeah, so already right there you don't have to account for all the marine life that has teeth or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean?
The dolphins were just like land walking dolphins, walking on their little fins, like some cartoon from Nickelodeon.
I really do believe there's evidence for shallow seas on land before the flood. Okay, so like before the destruction of the earth, I believe that there was little like pre-made, like they must have been made at creation. Like God made these seas on the land and lakes on the land for these freshwater animals, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't know what happened during the flood, but somehow the freshwater animals also survived.
I mean, this clear separation. I mean, what are mountains for? That's just a giant wall, just like God's version of the wall.
I'm just like I'm learning about StreamYards at the moment, and I just want to test something. I just started my VPN to see if it makes the internet run better or clearer.
Oh no!
Give it a shot.
It's up to the part where the shark eats the kelp. I just want to see if it runs. Just hang on. I'll start it and then I'll go straight over and more.
I think it runs slower because I think I tried VPN and it made me run slow.
Dinner. There goes dinner.
You can't see it, huh?
Well, we see it, but we just don't hear it. At least not yet.
I think it's chopping
I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Yeah, it's really choppy over here.
It's just, there's another one here. I'll just talk about it. It's the Neanderthal. Hang on, no, that's not it. Oh, dang it. There was another one with. It doesn't matter. I'll just have to find it. It was about. I can't remember. Hang on. It's just in here. Fast as it can open, and which is pretty slow for my. I've got to get a computer that actually runs like has a more power and a more modern, more powerful computer.
And then what are you running?
And then I can. Oh, it's a really old. It's a Idea Pad 110. It's an old piece of rubbish. I've got another one here where crocodiles are eating fruit. Wild crocodiles are eating fruit, but we won't be able to watch it, so it wasn't showing up really on your end, or I couldn't see it, but I could hear it, and you couldn't see it, but you couldn't hear it, which is sort of it's loading too slowly.
Don't you guys have Gumtree? You can always get a good deal on Gumtree.
What's Gumtree?
Oh, no.
It's like Australia and eBay, I think.
Nice.
Or Craigslist. One of those two. Yeah, like I made a couple PCs using like eBay. They went pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean you can get a whole like forget building a system. You just buy a computer straight out from them. They've got used computers for like $50.
Oh yeah. Because
I mean,
you can get like a pretty good graphics card for like $50. Can get you like an 8 gig DDR5 one.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, eBay's got some good deals, and I like that you can make an offer sometimes.
Oh yeah.
That's always nice.
I love getting into a bid war. Because like sometimes I'll check it, you know, the other people's cred, how many how many times they buy, like what response they get. Like, yeah, I could take this chump. I definitely win this bidding war.
Internet shouldn't be doing this.
Do you do crypto and trading and stuff, Bubblegum?
I used to. I did get into the Doge right before I went to
you
the
guys
moon.
hear me?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That was a good chunk of money.
Oh, the Doge coin.
Yeah.
Doggy doggy.
Yeah, to the pandemic.
That thing is everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah, I hope it does
Can you
become
hear me?
an official
Really?
currency one time. I think it might be one in Guatemala. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. It's just that I can't really share stuff. Can't see it properly because the internet is not running that well, which is unusual. Pain in the neck it is.
Are you still using the
you guys
VPN?
keep talking. Do you want me to share out? I'll share out this Neanderthal genome thing again because
No, you're good.
doesn't require to.
Your voice has sounded 100% the entire time. Like you've been clear as day.
Oh, okay. Just
Yeah.
the video wouldn't play properly. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So I'll just share out that human genome thing.
Did you try adjusting the bit rate of the video? Because like on a screen that's smaller than the general screen, you probably don't need to run 720 here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I adjusted it to 360 and it was still doing it, and 140 wasn't that good. So
Yeah, 140 you'll probably not have the quality you're looking for.
Well, I suppose with 140, if I try it at 140, let's try. If it shares it at 140, evidence originally created. We'll see. I'll just set it to 140 straight away. You can see.
Yeah, I know my network has been dropping the ball tonight. Oh, and like the last 2 days, I've had to restart the system like 8
It
times.
looks like it's gonna. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it plays.
Seals in this water moving that fast means just one thing. Something very big and very dangerous is not too far.
A 14-foot female. Let's see if she's hungry.
That's a big shark.
It's so easy to lose sight of her in this visibility. Whoa! She came out of nowhere. She is one big fish. Whoa! She just took a small bite out of the kelp. Incredible. She's coming back around for a second pass. Squid.
There you go. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, that's a big shark, man. I don't know if you've ever, Jason. I don't know if you've ever gotten into those cages with them over there. I know you've got those great whites in the reef off of Australia. Is it I think it's the Great Barrier Reef, right? Gum? Am I crazy? Great Barrier Reef is near Australia. It's been a while since I've taken marine science. Did I lose you? Am I disconnected, or did you? What's going on?
I think we lost Jason again.
Okay. Yeah, we lost Jason. So, growing up, I guess I'll tell you my life story. I did some amount of scuba diving in Central America and in the Gulf, and we got to go on the reefs and check out all the animals, which I guess aren't doing so well now, because of climate change or whatever. But yeah, he's back.
Are you scared like a brain like eating germs? Like
you got a brain
like,
eating? What?
No, I'm scared of going like swimming in like any lake or ocean because of these brain eating bugs. Ugh.
Well, reading the news articles now, yeah, you'd be crazy to go in a puddle. It's like they've got people scared. They got me scared to go in a pond.
That's one should be.
What was the narc? It was like Narcan. I forgot what the name of the virus was or the bacteria.
You want me to share out your screen again?
Like necromancer or something. Well, I mean, what should we? I think we kind of covered this topic for now. I guess I don't know if you want to switch over to something else on this one. Maybe start another one. Okay. Do an open chat, open mic thing.
Okay. Well, there's an open mic. You can put the link up on your side for the StreamYards. It's always been open if anyone wants to come in. So if Hardy wants to come in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we could just do open discussion now. I mean, we could touch on the human chimp likeness claim again, but I think we should just summarize it. Maybe we should summarize it. Conclude a little bit. Be like, there's no possible way that humans and chimps share a 98.8% DNA likeness. They've changed their narrative several times, according to Wikipedia. The article we just read and Gum read again and before me in detail. And they said that they changed their narrative from it being 99% when they found out that the Neanderthal were 99.7%. So obviously chimps are farther from Neanderthal than that from us. So their logic added up to them being about 94% alike.
I guess somebody
and then they change their narrative again. So obviously we have a changing narrative. It's all conjecture. It's not science. That's what I want to say.
Yeah, I guess somebody didn't get the memo that they were cherry picking the data for the chimpanzee. So whoever DNA tested the Neanderthal didn't get that memo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the idea of it. Like, where would the Neanderthals supposed to fall when you only have 1% gap?
So they're apparent. So that would mean that like chimps and like Neanderthals would be like a lot closer to them. It would be like
what is a human, a man,
100%. Come again?
Yeah.
In difference.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. What was the question, Jason? Oh no, we lost him again.
Did we lose him?
Yeah. I think I'm not sure if he's using a VPN because VPN will slow you down like crazy.
I know I have it on my phone, the VPN. I don't know if I should try turning that off because I'll tell you what, this network, it drops stuff all the time. Like every time I'm even just chatting in the chat, watching a video, like I've got to restart my phone halfway through the thing and I miss half the stuff. And it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're running it through like a different server, so it's not doesn't doesn't definitely doesn't add to the connectivity.
It's better if we just talk from now on, because sharing seems to be out.
Yeah, it's cool with me.
It's better if we just talk,
Sure.
because sharing seems to be out. Yeah,
All right, so
Sure.
should
don't
we
seem to do it. It's a real pain
should we
in the neck.
bully? Should we bully like these atheists?
There you go.
Let's bully them.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, maybe we could look at some pictures. I guess we could. I mean, the document should still project okay, just not the video, right?
I guess still photos. Yeah, I guess still photos are fine since they're not taking that bandwidth.
Okay, well maybe we could look at a little something. I mean, you guys, like, I've beaten Lucy to death. I know that, but could always look at that again.
I mean, I think we should focus on arguments that will actually win us the debate, because I don't think we're prefacing. I don't think we're prefacing the debates properly, because I think was it the dude? Well, on Price's channel, the dude was complaining. Well, he wasn't complaining, but he was rightfully so, stating that we're not defining our terms properly, and I think we're not formatting these debates properly. Because, for example, let me share my screen if I can. It's just a picture. Window. You still there, Jason? So, for example, because for the RV argument is a probability argument, and when we fail to acknowledge that, we fail to acknowledge that the convergent evolution is a probability-defying proposition, because essentially they're saying that, because they're complaining in the RV arguments like, well, how could these viruses randomly insert themselves in the same location? That's probabilistically not probable. But it's the same thing can be tossed right back then. How high could you say that the random chance that mutations are at the same gene, which are not in the same lineage? So if they think probabilistic arguments are defeaters for creationism, then they're gonna have to accept that the same probabilistic arguments are defeaters for convergent evolution, which defeats all evolution. So at best, they have to support Kind's evolution. They can't support Darwinian evolution.
Excellent point.
The blue is supposed to be a gene, so this is the human genome, and the gene shows up here independently from the bird lineage, which just shows up there again. So I think what arguments can we make that actually defeat their positions?
Well, the fact that there's tens of thousands of ERV sections that don't match, and only a handful that do, for one, because like you said, that's using their own logic against them. I mean,
because the ERV is a circular argument. Let me share again to try to demonstrate what I mean by that. I'm gonna share again. Jason. Grayson. I still remembering how he got his ass kicked. Okay.
On the Crucible channel?
Yeah, the Crucible. It's a must watch, I say. It's really funny.
I'm gonna have to check that out tomorrow morning when I wake up.
Okay, so basically, let's write it out so we kind of get what we're saying. So the ERV argument is I
like this drawing program.
Yeah, it makes everything a lot simpler. Evolution is true because ERVs are viruses passed down through generations, right? From ape to man, and then you ask him, why? How do you know these ERVs or viruses pass down through? How do you know that these ERVs or viruses pass down through ape through man? Well, because evolution is true. And then you put here, why is evolution true? So you have circular reasoning going on here. So you have like what you ask why evolution is true. Evolution is true because evolution is true because ERVs are passed down, or viruses pass down through ape to man. How do you know ERVs or viruses pass down through ape through man? Because evolution is true, and it's circular. They're using a circular argument.
Sure.
And I think
yeah, they are. They're willing to make any fallacy to believe what they believe.
Yeah, but like, I don't think we point this out because like I've seen Donnie debate this a lot, but he never really points this out. And it's not like he doesn't know because I told him this. I just don't think he's paying attention to it.
That they're using.
Yeah. Because I emailed him privately, but he never replies.
Yeah, no doubt.
Echo.
Hello. Now I'm solid again. Jason, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just started it on my phone so I could hear while I was out
I think your camera's
out on the side. So
So yeah, I mean, they you ask them.
Yeah, because they're presupposing the insertions happened millions of years ago because they know it's never been observed. So this is why Donnie always gets them. This is why Donnie always gets them. Has this been observed? And of course they don't. They have to appeal. Well, it happened a million years ago. Well, that's already presupposing evolution is true from the get-go.
Yeah.
whatever. So
Yeah, I see that. So they're, and it's always that with it's that way with all their stuff. Like even when you ask them for speciation, they'll be like, "Well, there's these two animals that we think were related, and now we're comparing them, and see, they must have been because we said they were." So it's all circular reasoning with them, I guess. A lot of their arguments, at least.
So I think we need to like not only engage them on the, because I think Donnie mostly just engages them on the science, and that's all well and good. But if you fail to engage them in the logic behind the science, I think you're doing yourself a disservice because you're kind of handicapping yourself. You're just kind of granting them. You're just granting them the logic. Well, you just grant them the logical presupposition here.
Yeah, and you got to stay after them, and you can't catch every single thing every time, and you got to kind of let things go past so you can make a point sometimes too. But I mean, it's important to always catch them on their stuff because I think a lot of time they're just seeking confirmation. Like they'll say something, there's 3 of you now, but they'll say something like
3 and 1.
Yeah, there he is.
Trinity confirmed.
Jason.
Oh yeah, I'll get rid of the other ones later when I'm back in the room. I just can't be bothered to delete them all. I'm just listening through my browser. It's a lot easier.
All right.
That's Arianism, Patrick. No, modalism. That's modalism, Patrick.
Patrick Seastar. I don't know. Oh man, I don't know why the hell they got rid of Ken's channel, man. That's
Oh
not
yeah, yeah. Well, it's obviously somebody in YouTube is quote unquote trying to they got a word for it, prevent misinformation.
sure.
Which of course it's just that's just a politically correct term for like we're trying to silence you. I mean, there's nothing wrong that Kent did.
Mhm.
I mean that pedo situation wasn't his fault. I mean, he could have avoided that, but it wasn't not his doing.
Right. And he does make the point where, like, you know, look at what's happened at Disney, and these atheists aren't bent on taking out Disneyland. So,
I mean, look at Stephen Hawking. How come Stephen Hawking isn't canceled? All of Hollywood, basically.
sure. It's like I don't know. There's not much you can do. I guess like you can spend all your time defending yourself as they slap at you, or you can stick to the debate. You know what I mean? And so like if you every time you give into their hate, every time you give into them slapping at you and attacking you, then you're just letting them deflect, because that's just part of their way that they avoid talking about what makes them so uncomfortable. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, because they definitely don't want to talk about it. Like, is it objectively wrong to hate the LGBT? Because they can't say that. They want to pretend to be subjective moralists. But as soon as like somebody takes a position, it was subjective morally. I hate the LGBT. We should physically remove them. All of a sudden, it's objective morality that you can't hate the LGBT.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that there's YouTube administrators, and they have privileges beyond normal channel or normal YouTube creators. And they basically can slap down any channel they want and put them on timeout for any reason they want. And I think that Kent has gotten the attention of the wrong people, obviously, for keeping his channel unadulterated. So he's got one on him.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk should have probably bought YouTube.
He might. Maybe he will.
I don't think he'll probably buy it, because like I don't think Google is gonna let go of its moneymaker. Because I think currently YouTube is a moneymaker for Google.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that it's all the Alphabet holding company, the ABC holding company, and it's a global company. They're globally owned, you know. So you have YouTube and Google and
because at one point, because at one point they were trying to get rid of TikTok, because that's Tencent, that's not owned by Google, and so
right.
They can't have that indoctrination, because like I don't think Tencent is very LGBT pro friendly. I mean, it might like host people there, but it's not like it's going out of its way to like promote it. Not in China, at least.
Sure.
Because like I mean, you probably would Tencent would probably want to promote it in America, because that's poisoning the enemy. But I have heard like some of the Chinese officials are like pro turning their young men into like femboys, because this way they think they'll prevent like a revolutionist uprising. Because every revolution is by like men in their 20s who are sexually deprived, like, I'm just so horny, I can't do it. What am I supposed to do with all this pent up sexual energy? Overthrow the government.
Yeah, I don't know. The psychoanalysis is going on for this whole situation, as far as It could be. I don't know. It's interesting. I think that it's almost 3:00 in the morning and I have to go to bed, but it was great talking with you, gentlemen. So, if you got anything left to say other than goodbye, goodbye.
Later.
Goodbye, man.
I gotta
Good
go.
night.
Goodbye,
and God bless. And thanks
It was a
for
pleasure.
being here. Yeah, and all right, we'll see you around. Hey, go and see science. Yeah, I mean, sorry, bubblegum.
Later, mate.
He's still there. I'm cooking some stuff for spring rolls. The unhealthy kind, of course. I like the not the healthy kind of spring roll. Yeah. All right. God bless everyone. See you later.